Hunting and ice climbing definitely have a lot of things alike. One, you have to hunt for ice in a lot of ways. You know, it's not always in every year. I mean, I've spent numerous days hiking through the woods and never finding any ice, just like you go hunting through the woods and never find anything. I think I've covered miles and miles and never found a single thing hunting or ice climbing. So that is definitely like where I have made a name for myself in the climbing world, is going and finding new stuff, hunting for the unclimbed ice, the unexplored. And I had really learned that from my dad. You know, as a child, we were always going to these places where, you know, nobody really went into, so we would be able to find these huge coveys of quail because, well, we had hiked 5 or 6 miles where nobody else wanted to go. You know, finding the quail or whatever it was definitely a piece of it, but I think more of it was also just going and exploring these areas and going to these mountains that maybe nobody had been into or, you know, he had not seen. That passion for exploration really went into my climbing. And that is what I love doing. I love going to the places where very few people have gone and looking for the things that people haven't found. And I think that passion for exploration is in hunting, and it's also in ice climbing. I started hunting with my dad as far back as I can remember, from before I could shoot a gun to when I could shoot a gun. And that's all I remember most of my childhood, is every weekend was going out and hunting with him. And it just depended on what the season was. In fact, in my childhood, I didn't actually hang out with a lot of friends on the weekends, or, you know, even as I got into high school, I never went and partied because I was always getting up at 4 in the morning to go hunting.
We hunted all over California and had some great hunts. I mean, from ducks to turkeys to dove. I mean, it was, I've always tried to hunt. We've always tried to go that extra mile. I mean, if there was the river there and we knew we could get across the river, we went across the river that extra mile to get back. And I think that's what probably caused Aaron to love the outdoors as much as he does. Now, he's taken it to a whole nother level, which is a whole nother story. So.
Growing up with my dad as really my only hunting partner was a really pivotal piece in our relationship. Hunting was really almost the number one thing in our relationship. And I think that connection that hunting brought between me and my dad is unlike anything else. You know, spending that much time in the mountains and also learning at the same time, and learning all those values of the mountains and nature and everything was really a priceless experience. As ice climbing came into my world, it became a battle. You know, so I started ice climbing a little bit when I was about 19, 20 years old. And I could see it was hard for me. Like, my dad's like, hey, we're gonna go out and go goose hunting. And I got my climbing buddy going, hey, we're gonna go out and go ice climbing. And it was tough. You know, I mean, it was like a marriage of sorts, like breaking up. It was really tough for me. I knew how important me going with my dad was, and I was basically his only hunting partner. We did everything, we went everywhere together. And so it was hard making a decision. I was basically having to choose between a new passion that I had and my dad. And nobody wants to be put in that position. And I could see over the years, especially in the beginning, he was hurt, you know, and I could feel that. I could see it, that it emotionally took a toll on him. You know, I mean, I was his hunting buddy for, you know, whatever, my entire childhood and, you know, 20 years, and then all of a sudden I'm gone.
I instilled the liking for him, not just for hunting, for the outdoors. And that was the whole intent, was carry on the heritage, carry on the passion, and be a passion for everything you do. So there's no bitterness about losing. I don't look at it as lost my hunting partner. You know, he's just gone on to do other things that he enjoys, and the distance that he lives away, that's part of it.
So my dad, in a random conversation, mentions to me that he had pulled this really good mule deer tag in Colorado, and he's a resident of Colorado, and apparently used, I think, almost either over 20 points or right around 20 points in order to draw this tag. And when he said it to me, it was really just kind of like, hey, yeah, I drew this thing. And I remember getting out the phone and thinking to myself, this is the time I need to dedicate to helping my dad fulfill this dream of this big deer that he's always wanted. And so I remember calling him back and saying, I'm coming with you. And the sound of his voice, the energy, just like, I mean, it was just like, it's like he heard the words he never thought he'd ever hear again. Because I think he'd just given up. He had given up on thinking that was, I mean, again, it's been 20 years. He knew that November is ice climbing season, and that the chances of drawing me away from that would be difficult. But knowing how important this tag was to him, and also how unique drawing Unit 67 is in Colorado, it was not a question for me that this is the moment, this is the trip I need to make happen with my father.
See him?
Yeah. Well, he's a white son of a bitch, isn't he?
That's a heavy mass on this guy in front of us. Look at the neck on him. How swollen that neck is.
Yeah, that's a big buck. That is a big buck. Look further right. There's a monster.
Where?
Holy shit, dude.
Where?
Look further right of the other buck. We are completely surrounded by deer. We saw an absolute monster this morning. And we currently, from this spot, I think we've spotted at least 7 or 8 bucks. It's a target-rich environment, if you might say. But this morning, did a bunch of scouting, saw lots and lots of deer. We saw some really good, heavy 3x4s, 3x3s, just a lot of really good bucks. You know, if you weren't in this area, you would have saw a lot of shooters today. This is the day before season opener. I hate to get too excited because you always see a lot of good deer right before opener, and then all of a sudden opener happens and then they're disappeared. But I'm feeling quite hopeful that they're not going to disappear tomorrow. Fingers crossed that tonight we see the big guy and we see him again tomorrow morning. Or I don't have to see him tonight. If we can see him tomorrow morning, that would be real nice.
For me, growing up, hunting was being one with the land and also connecting to my food sources. And I can remember as a child, I think I was probably about 10 years old, and I had a BB gun, and we'd always go down to Yuma, Arizona to go dove hunting. And everybody had filled their limit on doves, and it was in the middle of the day, and so I went out with my BB gun and was shooting stuff. And I remember I shot, I think it was a blue jay or something. It was some weird bird, and I came back and I was like, oh yeah, I made my first kill. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I shot this bird. And he goes, oh, well, you know, you should go get that bird. And I was like, what? Why? And he's like, oh, go get it. You know, show us. I don't believe you. So I run out there, and I'm very prideful, and I come back and I bring back this bird. And he goes, oh, that's great. Congratulations. Well, go ahead and clean it. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, well, if you shot it, you're going to eat it. And I'm like, it's just some bird. And he goes, if you kill it, you eat it. That's the rule. And he did. He made me eat it. He barbecued it, and I ate it. It tasted horrible. And I remember that really is a pivotal moment for me, because I realized that whatever I kill, I eat. And that became really a theme with my dad. Like, he was very cautious about, never taking long shots. He always wanted to make sure it was a kill shot. Like, whatever it was, we did everything we could to make sure that if we harvested something, that we would consume it as well. And that was the rule. Yeah, eye guards, big 4x. Yeah, that's a big boy. Where that creek kind of ends and the aspens start to dissipate off to the right.
Sitting here looking at 60 deer, probably, maybe more, and really nice 4-point that in any other part of the state or in other states that would be a shooter. But the problem is going to be, do we wait to get the bigger one that we saw this morning that dwarfed him? This is a big, massive 4x4 tall. So, do you shoot? Yeah, any other place you would, or do you wait? So that's the hardest part.
Yeah, right there.
Right there. So ears are about
yeah. His
24, 25 for ears. And he's got his ears up, not out. There it is. It's out. So he's a good 4 or 5 inches on each side beyond that.
Yeah, he's solid 30. I think I could put more than enough money on that and win that wager. We got, looks like 4x4, far ridge, a couple of does, looks like a nice buck. Maybe not quite the monster that we spotted yesterday, but it's a good way to start the morning. That could be, I think even our other 4x4 I think was wider than that guy, the guy we saw yesterday.
Oh, why there's skyline in there, so
the good for, yeah. I don't see the head here.
Except if he turns around and goes back up there, that's the problem.
We saw this buck pass back over this ridge. I'm coming over here to see if we can actually spot him and get an eye on him. Couldn't quite see. He was a nice buck. Just couldn't quite get an eye on how good he was. So we're gonna see if we can get the glass on him, size him up. But if we want to get a sneak on him, we'll walk up the road and then we'll just come up behind a juniper and we should go. I think he's about the guy we saw last night, I think. I didn't get a good look at him this time.
Okay.
he's still slightly below us. So I'm just gonna sneak around the front of the tree and see if I can get an eye on him. If he's still there, the does look like they've gone up and over, but he bedded down last time I saw him.
Was.
Yeah. He's down in the bottom of the gully. I still can't get a great view on him. He's got his head down feeding. Could just try to go see that little green sagebrush on the hill, on the grassy hill. Yeah. Try to just shoot for that. And then see if you can just get yourself kind of set up there and then see what happens. There's just two does that are 50 yards away from us. If we bump them, it might bump this buck off of its bed. But it's a chance we'd have to take. Or we wait him out.
Hit, I think. Hit him again. Hit him again.
Hold on, there's a fawn right in front of him now.
Huh?
Hold on, there he goes.
Done.
Yeah, he's done. You got him. All right. Nice work. Nice work. That's a good looking deer.
Whoa. I'm real happy with this one. Thank you, guys. I love the challenge of hunting. Everything about it, you know, from the preparation. I mean, this hunt that we're on here, I've been planning for 17 years, basically. It took 17 years of points here, draw this tag. And so everything from preparation and meal preparation to just, you know, planning, looking at maps, trying to determine where the best place to get away from people and have the best opportunity to hunt. And then taking care of the game, preparing the game, and then eating what you've shot. That's something I think we're losing as a civilization of, you know, being hunters-gatherers. So I do love to prepare and take care and have other people enjoy what I've shot. I think this is a memory that we'll both cherish for the rest of my life, certainly. He will. I hope that it will, you know, spawn more, you know, annual or biannual, whatever it takes to get together and hunt. So it's very important both to myself and my wife.